today in the Silicon Heartland. As Chief People Officer, my priority is attracting and retaining the world's best and brightest engineers and technicians who are going to help propel our company and the technology industry as a whole going forward. And the work we're starting here is more than talent strategy. This is an opportunity for Ohio, and this is an opportunity for America. Like you heard from Kayvon earlier, there's an unprecedented demand for semiconductors globally. And as we break ground here in Ohio, we take another step forward in meeting the demand and revitalizing US manufacturing, maintaining American competitiveness in technology, and reducing the supply chain risks we experienced during the pandemic. As we expand our semiconductor manufacturing footprint, we need a robust workforce pipeline with strong skills in technology. So with the funding that the U.S. CHIPS and Science Act provides, demand for talent in technical fields will only tighten in the coming years. In fact, the Semiconductor Industry Association recently suggested that these incentives could add as many as 280,000 jobs to the economy, and that's just in one industry. At Intel, we already plan to create over 6,700 high-tech jobs supporting the current expansions we have in the United States, including the project here, over the next few years. And this expansion will create a ripple effect, adding tens of thousands of jobs across our ecosystem and our partners. But with this expansion, we have to invest in education now to ensure that we have the talent that we need to fulfill this project, as well as help the U.S. regain its leadership position. So leading-edge chip factories are actually made by the people within them. A fab is an ecosystem with a diverse, reliable workforce that includes trade workers, highly skilled trained technical workers. It includes engineers, relevant degrees in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields. Earlier this year, I had the honor of announcing Intel's intent to invest $50 million directly into Ohio higher education. Our goal is to partner with institutions to build a pipeline of talent and bolster education opportunities here in Ohio. Since then, we've reviewed dozens of proposals to fund collaborative, multi-institution research and education programs which emphasize real-world experience and innovating in semiconductor fabrication. And so as part of this commitment, I'm really proud today to announce the first phase of the funding for Intel Semiconductor Education and Research Program here in Ohio. Under this first phase that we're announcing today, we're providing $17.7 million funding 8 proposals from leading institutions and collaborators in Ohio. These 8 proposals involve more than 80 higher education organizations across Ohio, and we expect to be able to support nearly 9,000 students pursuing degrees at the associate, bachelor, or advanced degree levels. One-third of these students will be from underrepresented groups, and more than 1/4 of them will be women. And Intel will support at least 1/4 of these 9,000 students with scholarships. Through these grants, we will foster a diverse pipeline of homegrown talent. I'm so proud to move forward with these initiatives between government, industry, and academia so that we can solve the high-tech workforce challenge, create great high-paying jobs in the United States, and close the technology skills gap by empowering a diverse generation of skilled workers who can help us continue to innovate and grow. At Intel, we create world-changing technology that improves the lives of every person on the planet. And we can only do that by closing the technology skills gap and creating a robust pipeline filled with the talented and diverse technologists of the future. Thank you so much for your time today. Now let me introduce our next guest. He's a scientist, a scholar, an evangelist for innovative thinking, and as president of and the CEO of the Center of Science and Industry here in Ohio, he's shepherding the leading science center to its next iteration in a legacy of success. Please welcome Dr. Frederick Bertley.
Thank you so much, Christy. I'm going to tell you a story. On October 4th, 1957, traveling at 18,000 miles per hour, a 200-pound sphere, no bigger than a beach ball, completed its first elliptical orbit around our precious Earth. The Russians successfully launched Sputnik, broke the space barrier, and our world was forever changed. This event catalyzed a series of transformational changes for this great country. President Eisenhower used that Sputnik crisis, as he called it, to galvanize America's science, engineering, technological movement, and with the stroke of his pen, created NASA. And then President Kennedy uttered his famous words in that amazing Bostonian accent: "In this decade or the next, we will send a man to the moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard." We then relied on the great state of Ohio, where flight was first invented. The state that birthed the great Senator John Glenn, who became the first American astronaut to circumvent the Earth. And the same state that birthed Neil Armstrong, who in 1969, 11 years after Sputnik, shattered our world and became the first human to walk the moon. The United States was back on top. And during those 11 years, we produced more scientists and engineers than any other time in history. And more importantly, the public had a healthy appreciation for the importance of science and technology education. Well, it's only fitting that on this very weekend, as we celebrate 60 years since JFK's historic speech, we are back in Ohio celebrating this Intel investment. An investment which, like Sputnik, will catalyze the next generation of scientists, engineers, and technological experts from this very local and the more global communities. You see, this is more than an Intel story. This is more than a Licking County story and Central Ohio story. This monumental and unparalleled Intel groundbreaking is an American story, one of American inspiration, innovation, and transformation. And so as the president and CEO of COSI, the #1 science museum in the nation, I could not be more thrilled to partner with Intel to provide educational opportunities and support the robust STEM pipeline you just heard Christine and others talk about that will provide jobs, uplift individuals, and change the lives and communities for generations to come. So as we symbolically break ground today on this Intel venture, remember, we are witnessing the latest and greatest evidence of American innovation. It just happens to be in this amazingly prolific state of Ohio. Thank you, Intel. Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, Governor DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Houston. Thank you, guests, and thank you, America. It's now my pleasure to introduce another great leader to this stage, none other than our Director of the Ohio Department of Development, Miss Lydia Mihalik. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. It is so thrilling to be here with all of you today to join in this incredible celebration. It, as always, is a beautiful day here in Ohio, and you can really sense the energy and the excitement that's quite frankly been building for this project for months. In collaboration with Intel and our partners at every level in this state, we've been moving quickly since our announcement in January to be able to get to this point. And it's no surprise because swift, bold action is what Intel and Team Ohio are all about. Be bold, think big, innovate. That is the attitude of the DeWine Husted administration, and I know for a fact that this culture of leadership was a very critical factor in Intel's selection of Ohio. Intel could have gone anywhere, but they chose Ohio because we have all the right assets. Living here is affordable, our economy is thriving, and this administration is investing in things that make Ohio the best state to live, learn, work, and play. As Governor DeWine has said, our goal every single day is to make Ohio the land of opportunity, and the arrival of Intel presents so many new opportunities. The Intel project will put Ohio on the map as a national leader in innovation and technology, and its positive impact on our economy will help make Ohio a more prosperous and vibrant place for everyone living here. It's a historic opportunity that will benefit generations to come. As has been said, it is really exciting to think that moms and dads won't have to send their kids to different states to pursue careers in this industry. Instead, they can stay put, build their future, and raise their families right here in the Buckeye State. This new era in manufacturing begins with Intel and will lead to more high-paying jobs for Ohioans, more money being spent in Ohio, and of course, more people calling Ohio home. As a result, the Ohio that we know and love today, well, it isn't going to be the same. It's going to be even better. And today's groundbreaking sets that transformation in motion. I'd like to thank Governor Mike DeWine, Lieutenant Governor John Husted for your leadership, as well as Intel and all our partners at every level who have and continue to work to make this project a success. It is so rewarding to see what we can achieve together. What we have here in Ohio is simply amazing, and we are so proud to have Intel as a part of our thriving community. OH! Very good. All right, well now it's my pleasure to introduce a great champion of this project and a wonderful partner of this administration and of the future workforce for the state of Ohio, Dr. David Harrison from Columbus State Community College.
Thank you so much, Lydia. This is so exciting. This is a great view, and we are so glad to have you here this morning. One of our practices at Columbus State is to start every gathering with gratitude, and I want to do that here this morning. There's so many who made this historic day possible. I want to thank Governor Mike DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Husted for their vision and commitment to possibilities. I want to thank Jobs Ohio and One Columbus for their strategic leadership. I'm grateful to our elected officials in Ohio and Washington for believing in the people of our state and putting that belief into action. President Biden's signing of the CHIPS Act last month elevated the biggest economic and workforce development project in Ohio's history to one of global significance. Thank you to these and other leaders who made this day possible. And of course, I want to thank Intel for choosing Ohio and for recognizing the role that Ohio's colleges and universities can play in realizing their vision. As Christy said in their March announcement at Columbus State, Intel committed $50 million to our institutions. And the support they announced this morning, as she alluded to, will establish the Ohio Semiconductor Collaboration Network, a statewide effort led by Columbus State and the Ohio Association of Community Colleges. This investment will enable Ohio's 23 community colleges to enhance our curriculum, build faculty expertise, and prepare thousands of Ohioans for incredible careers with an explicit goal of more than 1/3 from historically underrepresented groups. Intel's deep commitment to diversity and equity is shared by Ohio's community colleges. Their work to advance technological readiness in underserved communities, their commitment to expand opportunities for women in technology, and their explicit focus on veterans aligns perfectly with what community colleges do every day. The career pathways we'll build together will result in life-changing economic opportunity for thousands of Ohio students and families, and will go a long way to establishing a new equitable standard of prosperity for our state. As I've learned about the semiconductor industry the last several months and the talent that drives it, it's become clear to me that these are our jobs. These are community college jobs. We were built for this moment, to prepare Ohioans for the highly skilled manufacturing technician roles that will be the lifeblood of Intel's success here. We look forward to getting to work. Thank you. I mentioned the leadership of our elected officials. It's now my great pleasure to introduce one of those leaders, U.S. Congressman Troy Balderson.
See how excited I am? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Licking County, and welcome to the 12th Congressional District. Today's celebration is about opportunity. It's about our kids. It's about restoring American leadership. It's about creating something to be proud of. I'm honored and blessed to represent the 12th Congressional District, which is now transforming into what many are calling America's Silicon Heartland. I want to start by thanking Pat Gelsinger. Thank you for the confidence that you placed in Licking County and the state of Ohio. I also want to congratulate Governor DeWine, Lieutenant Governor Husted, the administration for the successful effort to land this project for Ohio. In recent months, there's been a renewed sense of excitement and anticipation about the future here, especially for our younger Ohioans. The Intel team is already recruiting talent. Just last month, Intel set up a hands-on learning exhibit for kids at the Hartford Independent Fair. The little things matter. The people here matter, and Intel gets that. The place we stand today is much more than an empty field. For generations, this community has been a place of opportunity. Last week, I had the chance to speak with students at the Career and Technical Center of Licking County. These kids gave me hope. They serve as a reminder of the fundamentals for success in America about much more than a college degree. They remind us that we can achieve anything we set our minds to if we work hard and make smart decisions. These students, and so many others like them from across our region, will be the ones who make this fab a reality. electricians, welders, heavy equipment operators, mechanics, HVAC technicians, and more. These opportunities for these students has never been greater. They're excited and they're ready to take the challenge on for making this a success. You see, addressing the United States semiconductor shortage is about much more than reducing our reliance on foreign manufacturing. It's about investing in our kids and defining the air before us. The concrete trucks are ready, the road work is in motion, and Central Ohio is excited about its role in ensuring that the United States leads in the manufacturing of these critical products in the years and decades to come. I am honored and blessed to represent this community. It's hardworking people and to join the Intel team here today to mark this historic milestone. Thank you all so much for being here. It's my honor now to welcome Intel's brand new plant manager, Jim Evers, to the stage. Jim is going to be running this site and Intel's top executive in Ohio. Supposedly, I have not confirmed this, so maybe I shouldn't say this, but he has moved, he is in the process of moving, so please give a warm Buckeye welcome to Jim Evers.
Hello, Ohio. I have the immense privilege of leading the Intel Ohio team. I first put on my Intel badge 28 years ago as an operator in our Arizona factories and moved here just last week, it's true, to the Buckeye State. It's been an incredible journey from that first day to today, celebrating the beginning of the Silicon Heartland with all of you. I am so grateful to be here. I'm grateful to Intel, to Pat, to Kayvon, to the manufacturing leadership team for putting your trust in me to lead our team here in Ohio. I'm grateful for our team in Arizona that helped shape the leader that I am today. And I'm grateful for the warm welcome that I've received from many of you as I've traveled here over the last several months. You've really made me feel at home. My commitment to Ohio is that over the next few years, my priority will be to build the team which will manufacture the world's most advanced technology right here where we're standing and digging in the background here. I'll be focused on creating a work environment where our employees thrive. They not only will have great salaries, but they'll have meaningful work. They'll have career development and work in a fab environment where they will generally be respected, valued, and loved. This team will drive performance that delights our customers. So my message to our potential customers is sign on with Intel and come fill this Ohio dream of fields. My promise is to hire the people of Ohio, the Midwest, and around the world to create the Silicon Heartland, beginning here in the wonderful Buckeye State. Together, we will build a culture that unites the best of Intel with the best of Ohio to honor the rich culture and heritage of the Midwest. No promise is worth anything without a plan, so how we deliver on that promise is very important. We will run our business with the highest integrity, doing things the right way. We will be a great neighbor, and we will show up in the community and volunteer. We will protect our precious environment where we live. As we hire the Silicon Heartland workforce, we will do it with diversity in mind, with the vision to one day reach population-level representation. We need some help from our educators, including those from K-12, to encourage science, technology, engineering, arts, and math education. I think Christy gave us a good investment news today. I really believe where diversity thrives, innovation thrives. It took me 28 years to build 4 fabs in Arizona. I hope to move faster and deliver beyond that here in Ohio. So Ohio, let's build. So as we get ready to put shovels in dirt, I'd like to invite a couple people up. First, I'd like to invite Finn Ashby. Finn is an 8-year-old son of an Ohioan. I hope one day will be an Intel engineer. Our Intel team noticed Finn's passion for engineering at the Hartford Fair last week. Finn worked his way through every Intel project and spoke to every Intel engineer with great enthusiasm. I knew I just had to meet Finn, so earlier this week we had ice cream, and I got to see for myself this brilliant young future engineer and listen as he explained to me how light bends and the images on the walls of a restaurant. Really amazing. And with that, I'd like to also invite our CEO, Pat Gelsinger, and our Chief Global Operations Officer, Kayvon Esfarjani, to come up and lead us in this official groundbreaking to commemorate today's historic occasion.
Thanks, Jim. And it's so nice to meet my future replacement. He's not just going to be an engineer. This is the CEO of Intel that you're looking at. And I'm so excited to be here, even more excited than we announced our investment back in January. And when we announced that investment, we declared the end of the Rust Belt, Troy, and the beginning of the Silicon Heartland. Doesn't that get you excited? The Rust Belt, it is dead. The Heartland begins. And of course, this is part of a globally connected society. And yesterday, we saw the passing of 7 decades of leadership by the Queen Elizabeth of England. And I think we can all just say that is extraordinary leadership over an extended period of time. The longest reigning monarch in Britain's history, and a steady presence on the world scene of leadership as well. So we can all take heart that that is what leadership looks like. And today, we continue building on an era of innovation, the proud manufacturing. And I must say, the welcome that we have received here, because we want to build stuff, and the welcome that we have received since we began these discussions in Ohio is nothing short of tremendous. Education, manufacturing, good old Midwest values. We are thrilled that this is what the Silicon Heartland will represent for this area, for the state, for the Midwest, for this nation. So let's come together and let's start building the Heartland, and let's go dig.
Here we go. Jim, come on.
Governor. Yeah. Senator.
Hey.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yay.
Let's dig. Woo!
All right.
Yeah, we got a lot of moves.
We have more work to do back there. Anybody interested? We can use some help. Yeah. I know, exactly.
I'm like nice.
Yeah.
I went to Ohio State building trade, so I'm going to build this thing.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I represent the
Thank you.
100,000 men and women that
All
put
right.
hard hat on in Ohio.
Give our groundbreaking crew a round of applause. for this historic moment today. How wonderful, how wonderful. Much more to come, folks. We are going to take a break here, a short intermission, so that the folks here can head back into the tent and enjoy some refreshments and check out the amazing Intel technology on display, and we'll be back soon with much more. we're asking you to please go back inside the tent. Come out of the seats and go back inside the tent, if you will, please. Thank you so much. We really would like for you to vacate the seats out here and go back into the tent, if you will. Thank you so much. May I please have your attention? We are asking everyone in the seats to return to the tent for security reasons. Please vacate the seats and return to the tent for security. Thank you so much. right, welcome back, everyone. Let's get ready for the second part of our program to start. So once again, follow behind the Ohio State Marching Band and take your seats outside. Hit it.
Yeah, I'm setting them up. And Andrew. Jonathan, do you mind with this?
What do you need?
Just to hold this, grab the line.
Sorry, go ahead. Okay, you ready? This is the 645-1225.
Six. 614?
614-645-1225.
I'm just dialing in.
Happy was just asking. Okay, Jen's laughing at my messages, so I think we're not gonna look at it. Do they look like they're getting ready to start? I sent them this. What'd you say? I think they're using the Gelsinger bite for an entire year. Okay.
This thing is not working.
Our windows are so durable and our installers are so talented, unlike some other companies. Our warranties cover the windows, patio doors, and the installation.
It's really impressive that they sell the product, they manufacture the product, they install
Let me
September 30th, you buy one window or door, you'll get the next one 40% off with a minimum purchase of $4. Even if
line did you dial into?
Line 1? Yes. I can barely hear you. Yeah, just speak louder because I am out in the lands.
Which is true.
While it's going on? Why would I talk?
We are about to begin our program. Please take your seats. We're about to begin our program. Please take your seats. Thank you.
Almost didn't, but I did. Touch and go there for a minute.
Welcome, everyone.
I cannot hear anything.
We are coming to you live from Lincoln County, Ohio, to celebrate an amazing moment in history. It's an opportunity to do something wonderful and necessary. This is the site where Intel is breaking ground for its newest chip manufacturing facility. This also will extend Ohio's rich history in innovation and manufacturing to become a leader in semiconductor production, the technology that is vital to our daily lives and our future.
From this beautiful land springs great opportunities to do something wonderful.
Yeah, Brittany, they just finished the intermission. I'll step out of the way. They're showing a video before the president arrives here. He is on site here in Lincoln County. About 30 minutes prior, we heard from officials from Intel, also community leaders and leaders here in our community talking about the impact that this will have on Ohio as a whole. This is really a major, major historic day here in the city. $20 billion, this Intel project is the largest single provider sector company investment in Ohio's workforce, which is bringing a who's crowd here. We're talking lawmakers, union officials, local politicians, business leaders all gather here today to mark this historic day. During his speech that he's about to give, the president is expected to tout his efforts to boost domestic manufacturing using this Intel groundbreaking as a backdrop for that. As you know, that CHIPS Act, which was passed in Washington about a month ago now, providing funding for this Intel project here in Lincoln County. If you take a look off in the distance there, groundwork already underway here on this site. Over 900 acres of land for this development, which will start with 2 factories that can expand to several others across the area. So right now we are waiting for President Joe Biden to take the stage here. Brittany, we have been here since early this morning, and we have heard again from Intel leaders who are all excited about this opportunity to come here to Ohio. They have been on the ground for weeks now with employees here doing the groundwork, And right now the focus is on hiring from the Ohio workforce area, also investing into education, putting these positions available into area community colleges and schools. Let's listen into the program.
That is coming with Intel's build here. We appreciate you all. Would you like to hear from the best damn band in the land? Hit it. Thank you, band. We appreciate you. Please join me in welcoming the governor of the great state of Ohio, Governor Mike DeWine.
What a great day. What a great day. The president will be here in a moment. I normally would acknowledge him and welcome him to Ohio, and I will do that. To Senators Brown, Portman, members of Congress, state and local officials, and members of the Ohio State Legislature. We celebrate today a great victory for Ohio, but an even greater victory for our country. We have learned over the last few years that there are essential items, necessities, that we must make here in the United States of America. We can, we must, and we will make them here. To Pat Gelsinger, to Kayvon Christie, to the whole great Intel team, we know that we're entering into a long-term relationship with you. By choosing Ohio over 39 other locations across our country, think of that. You recognized and you put your faith in Ohio and in our people. On behalf of the people of the state of Ohio, let me say to you, we will not let you down. To my fellow Ohioans, this is an historic moment for the Buckeye State. By choosing Ohio, Intel has recognized what we have known all along, and that there is simply no better place to raise a family than Ohio. No better place to live. No better place to start or to grow a business. And no place that provides more opportunity than the state of Ohio. My fellow Ohioans, by choosing Ohio, Intel has placed its faith in you. They have placed their faith in our women and our men who are building these fabs right now. There is a children's book. It's titled, They Build the Dream. And to the men and women who are out there today and who will be here for years building, we say thank you. Thank you for building that dream. And to those who are the Intel suppliers and the suppliers of the suppliers and on, we thank you. You also are building that dream. Intel is placing their faith also in those who are teaching the next generation of Ohioans and those who are preparing them for the jobs of the future. Because for all our other assets, our greatest asset is our people. Ohioans are the heart of the new Silicon Heartland. Just think about it. Today, at this moment in Ohio, today, right now in Ohio, there are young men, young women attending our 14 public universities and others in our 74 private liberal arts colleges and universities, studying mechanical, industrial engineering, other things, all of whom may one day work here at Intel or in some other great Ohio high-tech job. Just think of it. Today in Ohio, there are young men and women in our 23 great community colleges studying microelectronics or electronic engineering technology who will one day work here as manufacturing technicians. Think about it. Today in Ohio now, there are young men and women in our 50 career centers, high school career centers, studying the STEM disciplines, who will one day work here in a wide variety of occupations, from high-tech manufacturing and cybersecurity to also the skilled trades, electricians, pipe fitters, HVAC technicians, sheet metal workers, who will, in the future, be building the 3rd and 4th fabs, the 5th and 6th fabs, and the 7th and 8 fabs, and on and on. My fellow Ohioans, this is a great victory. This is a great victory, and it is just the beginning. In the days and months and years to come, there will be many more victories in Ohio because we are investing in and preparing our young people and our older people for the future. A future that is bright, a future that holds great promise, and a future where all Ohioans can live their American dream. It's a great day in Ohio. Let's celebrate today. It is a great day in Ohio. And the best is yet to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor DeWine. We appreciate your remarks today. Now let's welcome to the stage a man who has given 12 great years of service in the U.S. Senate for Ohio, Senator Rob Portman.
Thank you very much. And what do you think about this gospel choir and the best damn band in the land? I like my walk-on song, guys. I'll take that with me everywhere I go. It is awesome to be here this morning with everyone to celebrate a huge victory for Ohio jobs and for Ohio's future and our country's future. As we break ground for the world's most advanced semiconductor fabs in the world, unbelievable, creating this ecosystem that will be the Silicon Heartland. There are many to thank and congratulate. President Biden, who made his way to the Buckeye State today. I can't wait to hear what the walk-on song is going to be for him. I think I know what it is. Governor DeWine, who just spoke, Lieutenant Governor Houston, Senator Brown, Representatives Balderson and Beatty, and other House colleagues who are here, members of the Ohio House and Senate who provided important legislation for the incentive package, local officials, Dr. Johnson, economic development professionals. Those professionals like JP and Kenny worked their heart out. But most importantly, today, congratulations to the people of the great state of Ohio. It is your victory. Today, as we acknowledge all the hard work that went into bringing Intel to Ohio, we also acknowledge the hard work before us that now begins as we begin to close America's competitiveness gap that has grown dangerously wide with regard to semiconductor manufacturing. I'm really proud that Ohioans will play an important role in closing this gap. Special thanks to CEO Pat Gelsinger and his Intel team for the confidence they have shown in the people of Ohio. Pat and I have had a lot of conversations in the last couple of years about what Ohio brings to the table. And I will tell you, as a Midwestern farm kid, he got it instinctively. He understood that our Midwestern values, hard work, resourcefulness, a legacy of manufacturing, and a willingness to embrace technology fit exactly what Intel needed. Incentives from the governor, the state legislature, and the local community didn't hurt. But honestly, every state had an incentive package. Ohio's pro-jobs, pro-business environment that Governor DeWine and the state legislature have nurtured helped. And the new federal infrastructure law was timely. But folks, none of this works without the skilled Ohio workforce that they need. Now it's up to all of us to earn the confidence that they have shown in Ohio, and we will. As will be said later today when we hear from Pat and the President, the passage of the Federal CHIPS Plus Act was also critical in making today a reality. I was honored to help lead that effort in the Senate. Each of my Senate and House colleagues here today played an important role. In this case, at least, Congress put partisanship aside and focused on how to close the growing gap in semiconductors and other technologies that will ultimately determine the fate of nations. Our dwindling U.S. semiconductor manufacturing is both an economic and national security concern. Not only has our share of global chip manufacturing capacity over the past 30 years fallen from nearly 40% to 12%, but semiconductors are more important than ever for everything from F-150s to F-35s. And 90% of high-end chips being made in Taiwan and China dramatically growing its capacity, the supply chain has become more vulnerable, putting at risk the American economy and our military advantage. If it works as intended, the CHIPS Science Act will be the catalyst to spur all kinds of record-breaking technological investments and innovations, not just chips, and not just here in New Albany, as important as it is, but around the country and across the state. Intel's announcement to build here has already caused suppliers to look at Ohio because of the semiconductors. So let's get to work. Like we did with the CHIPS Plus legislation, let's link arms across the aisle and at every level of government and the private sector to meet the need. Let's help the building trades ensure those 7,000 skilled construction workers are there. Let's help Intel ensure that 3,000 skilled employees that they need and thousands of additional workers at suppliers across this state and region are there with the skills they need. Let's pass the Bipartisan Jobs Act in the United States Congress to redirect federal resources to skills training. If we all continue to work shoulder to shoulder as we have, this investment has the potential to be transformational for Ohio and to help America continue to be at the forefront of technological innovation and thus continue to be that beacon of hope and opportunity for the rest of the world. Thank you and Godspeed.
Thank you, Senator Portman. Now we'd like to bring to the stage a man born in Mansfield, Ohio, and has been serving in public service since 1975, Senator Sherrod Brown.
Jerry Revish, thank you. Milt Ruffin School of Music and Fort Hayes, both, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe not. And the best band in the land, good to see you all. Thank you. In January, when Secretary Raimondo and Senator Portman and I were flying to Columbus to announce this investment, I remember looking out the window of the plane at all the places that have long been ignored by Wall Street and passed over by corporate America and forgotten by our government. And I thought about how, from that day forward, we're going to change that. I remember turning to Rob and to the Secretary and saying, today we are burying the term Rust Belt. Ohioans know what's happened over the last 30, 40 years. Corporations searched the globe for cheap labor. First, they went to anti-union states, closing down plants in Mansfield and Cleveland and Akron and Circleville, and moved to anti-union states in the South. They lobbied for tax breaks and bad trade deals to move more manufacturing jobs overseas, always in search of lower wages. Wall Street rewarded them for it over and over and over again. America invented the semiconductor, as you know, yet today 90% of them are made overseas. Pat, all of you, that stops today. Today, with American investment, with Intel's investment in American production, American workers, with the CHIPS Act, with all the work we're doing with President Biden in the House and Senate, we're putting in place a new pro-American, pro-union industrial policy. The technology of the future won't just be developed in America. We're really good at that. We've done that for generations. It will be made in America, in the industrial heartland, in Ohio, all over this state, central Ohio and going out from here, where we built the engines of progress for generations. In this state, we have the history, we have the talent, we have the ingenuity, and finally, we have a federal government that recognizes that. This is what so many of us have been working for our whole careers. Good paying jobs, American supply chain, work for thousands and thousands of building trades workers. You know, when you love this country, you fight for the people who make it work. And today we break ground on an investment in our greatest asset in our country, American workers. Thank you.
Sherrod Brown. Our next speaker is a native of the Columbus area, and we so appreciate her. She's also the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. May I present Representative Joyce Beatty.
Thank you so much, Jerry Revish, and certainly to Fort Hayes and the Milton Ruffin Jazz Ensemble, the Ohio State Band, best damn band in the land. Let's give it up for them. It is indeed an honor for me to be here today on this historic day. You have heard so much about why we are here and what is happening in Central Ohio. But let me just paint a picture for you. Today, on September the 9th, with this backdrop, we say thank you to Intel, my good friend Pat Gelsinger. We say thank you to the United States Congress and the U.S. Senate, because it was 30 days ago, on August the 9th, that the President of these United States signed the CHIP Act. There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into this. But we knew what was good for this nation, for our national security. We knew what it would say to the great state of Ohio for jobs. It is a partnership that not often we can come and say, thank you, business leaders. Thank you, elected officials, Democrats and Republicans. Thank you, labor leaders. Thank you, community leaders. Thank you to the women, the minorities, and Black Americans who will share in this historic day. It gives me great honor as chair of the Congressional Black Caucus to share with you that we are the largest caucus in the United States Congress. And every one of my members, Pat, proudly voted for the CHIPS Act. And it will make a difference here and across the nation. So I say to you as our guests today, be proud for this historic day. It will make a difference when we think of the National Science Foundation. Director Ponce, thank you for your innovation and technology and believing in what we do. But most importantly, it is not often for a little Black girl from Ohio to be able to ride on Air Force One with the President of these United States to come home. So, Mr. President, I say thank you for letting me be on this ride and this journey with you. And most importantly, we owe him a big debt of gratitude for understanding the value and for making sure that he is here today. He said, I would not miss this. An opportunity to speak to everyday people, an opportunity to say that I believe in the future, because there will be thousands of thousands of thousands of thousands of thousands of thousands. You get my drift? Redundancy makes you remember it. of jobs that's going into this site. Jobs that will pay six figures, jobs that will take our students from universities and put them in this space, jobs that will be with laborers, skilled workers, engineers, and other people in non-traditional fields. So my message is to you, the two most powerful words that I can say, and that is Intel, my colleagues in the House and Senate, the governor, to all mayors here, to our two senators, and to Senator Brown, who I traveled with here, the two most powerful words I can say, thank you. But before I walk off, timing is everything. Please look to the aisle and you will see Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson, who is the chairwoman of Science and Technology and led this. Welcome, my friend, all the way from Texas to be here today. Thank you, God bless you, and just in case you didn't remember, yes, I'm Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I approve this message.
Thank you, Congresswoman Beatty. Please welcome to the stage the Chief Global Operations Officer, Intel, Kayvon Esjarbani.
Hi, everyone. All right, folks. First of all, I'm going to keep this very brief. Most of you heard from me earlier today. There's no place better for me to be than here in Ohio today. We have an amazing project that's going to be going for us. We're going to build, the advanced semiconductor manufacturing, state-of-the-art manufacturing right here behind us. The tractors, as you see, are happening. We're going to make this so amazingly successful. But with that, it's not just building the factory. It's going to require us to make sure that the pipeline of talent, collaboration with our universities, and of course, no better person here than, of course, the biggest advocate for this project since day one, our good friend, the president of Ohio State University, Dr. Christina Johnson. I want to welcome her to the stage here for her to exchange some words with you. Thank you.
Wow, what a day. Mr. President, CEO Gelsinger, elected officials, and special guests, I'm so proud to be here today sharing this platform with not only you, but the Fort Hays Milton Ruffin Gospel Choral and the best damn band in the land. And I'm also so proud of the role that The Ohio State University and all the colleges and universities played in making this groundbreaking a reality. Most of you are probably familiar with Moore's first law, Intel's co-founder Gordon Moore's accurate prognostication that the number of transistors on an integrated circuit will double every 2 years. And thanks to companies like Intel, since I was a chip designer in college, we've watched those transistor line widths shrink from microns to nanometers, and soon to angstroms. And the power of our devices increase exponentially. If you want to calculate my age, I just gave you all the facts. You may not be able to, however, or may be aware of Moore's second law, which predicted a harsher reality, that the cost of semiconductor processing facilities would also grow exponentially. So getting the United States back in the business of manufacturing state-of-the-art computer chips domestically is a breathtakingly capital-intensive and ambitious proposition. It requires a revival of that powerful private-public partnership of industry, government, and academia that has defined this country's best efforts in science and engineering since World War II. Today, we're celebrating Intel for having the vision to make this historical capital investment in Licking County. But we also thank President Biden, Commerce Secretary Raimondo, and the United States Congress for supporting American semiconductor manufacturing, design, and research, and for helping to even the playing field with the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022. I have the privilege today of representing the region's higher education sector, which stands ready to educate the workforce that Intel and its suppliers and customers will need. At the same time, we support new advances in semiconductor technology through our research. Providing intellectual capital and groundbreaking research for this effort is bigger than any one university alone, and I welcome all the presidents of the Ohio universities that are here today in force. We've come together to create a network of colleges and universities and community colleges into a 12-university and college Midwest regional network focused on doing our part to foster a semiconductor ecosystem here. I want to thank Intel for its contributions to that workforce, education, and research, including pledging $50 million in direct support for Ohio colleges and universities, as well as another $50 million that will be matched by the Science Foundation for grants nationwide. And thank you, NSF Director Seth Panchanathan, who is here. Just today, Intel announced a $17.7 million investment in 8 projects in Ohio. And in addition, $4.8 million of that $17.7 is for the Advanced Semiconductor Fabrication Research and Education, or CAFE, that Ohio State will lead. We are so fortunate in Ohio to have political leadership that understands the importance of knowledge and in technology-intensive industries to our state's future, as well as the role higher education plays in developing the ideas and the people for those industries. I'd like to thank Governor DeWine, Lieutenant Governor Husted, Senators Portman and Brown, our congressional representatives, our Ohio Senate, our Ohio House, and all our elected officials. We couldn't do this without you. And of course, I'd also like to thank our amazing economic development partners, Jobs Ohio and One Columbus. As Intel breaks ground today, we're here to strengthen the Silicon Heartland. And that's what today is all about. But you should know that 12% of the nation's engineers, bachelor's degrees, 18% of the country's doctorates in engineering, and 22% of the doctorates in engineering technology are earned at Big Ten schools. Those engineers will no longer need to head to the coast for cutting-edge jobs. They will be able to find them right here. The Ohio State University cheers the geographic expansion of intellectual and financial opportunity. This is a great moment for all of us. Mr. Gelsinger, President Biden, thank you for making this happen.
Sina Johnson, please welcome to the stage Effion Hawkins.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Affion Ibakase Hawkins, and I am a student at Central Ohio Technical College, working towards my associate degree. Intel's CEO, Pat Gensler, grew up next door, right in Pennsylvania, and started his career as with an associate degree from a community college. That's why I'm personally excited to be here celebrating with you all, because students like me, we have an incredible opportunity thanks to Intel. Please join me in welcoming Intel CEO, Pat Gensler, to the stage. Thank you so much.
Oh, we made it. You know, and as you think about this moment, you know, I just ask you, what aspect of your life is not becoming more digital? You know, every aspect of health, every aspect of social, every aspect of transportation is becoming more digital, and everything digital runs on semiconductors. And our ability to work remotely through the pandemic was because of semiconductors, to stay connected with our families and friends, to have virtual schooling and healthcare through this period of time. Everything, semiconductors, and our national defense is becoming more acutely dependent on semiconductors. And do we want our national defense to have the most advanced semiconductors in the world? You bet we do. And do we want to be dependent on foreign sources for those? You bet we don't. And for our entire history, we at Intel have performed the majority of our R&D and manufacturing right here in the U.S. We are the only U.S. chip maker that does all the R&D, manufacturing leadership, technology development in the United States. And as we came to this period in our strategy, we put our chips on the table. Yeah, I like that joke too. And we did it. We put our chips on the table to help the U.S. regain its manufacturing heart as well as unquestioned technology leadership. And our partnership in Ohio is off to a great start. And under Governor DeWine, Lieutenant Governor, we just feel, come on down. Ohio wants us. And it's just been an incredible relationship. And the great support we've seen from the Ohio delegation of political leaders. And, Senator Portman and Brown, these have just been extraordinary partners for us. And I show up in D.C., and boy, we just go to work, together. And of course, Representatives Balderson and Beatty, just thank you so much for the partnership. And this great state of Ohio has this tradition of manufacturing. You all like to build stuff. And that's exactly what we're going to do together. We are going to build the most advanced stuff in the world right here in Ohio. And we benefit from this long tradition. Essential industries, steel, engines, automobiles, chemicals, and more. And because of that manufacturing tradition and the strong technology capabilities of the local universities, this became an obvious choice. And back in January, Ohio Senator Brown, made that statement, the Rust Belt is dead and the Silicon Heartland begins. And I'll say, he was the one to kill the Rust Belt, but Silicon Heartland, that was my phrase. But this idea of the Silicon Heartland, right, an epicenter of leading edge technology, and Intel's factory right here will produce the most advanced process technologies in the world. And our customers, our foundry customers, some of them being here today, they need the best stuff for their products. Everything from high performance mobile, artificial intelligence, advanced computing, cloud, all of that will be a result of these factories behind us. Advanced packaging, reliable workforce, including, as you've seen today, the most advanced trades on the planet are required to build this facility. And I'll just say, we are thrilled for the response that we have seen across that spectrum. And I say, every aspect of highly trained technical workers, construction, we're going to get to work. And we only gave you half a day off for the groundbreaking, so don't screw around, get back to work. But it also is that pipeline of talent in science, engineering, mathematics, innovation, the imaginative, creative skills. And I like to say it's not just STEM, it's STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And the need for these skills in America is growing, and we're not keeping pace with that pipeline. And fewer U.S. students are choosing the sector of semiconductors and manufacturing engineering as a career choice. We need to change that. And we need to bring this workforce forward. And that's why you heard this morning from Christy Pambianchi, where we are committing, our $50 million, the first $17.7 million committed in these first 8 partnerships with 80 participants. This is the first step, but it's just the first step, because we are moving forward to build the next generation workforce and to harvest. And I want, as I say, I want every mother and grandmother in the state of Ohio to say, you don't need to go to the coast, come home and work right here. And it's not, low-end workers, it's not medium, it's not the highest PhD, it's not construction workers, it's not the next generation, of math. And we had, Finn up here, the next CEO of Intel. It is all of them across the entire spectrum is what we need. And as someone who began my career, my family is here. My mom and dad went to school in a one-room 1st through 8th grade schoolhouse where my mom still lives today. She said, go to school. So I began I skipped my senior year of high school, got my associate's degree, and was hired as a young technician at Intel. I know what it feels like to go from the bottom upward. And that's the heart of Ohio. This idea of the community colleges, the most advanced universities, giving opportunity across that spectrum. And that's part of why I am so excited. And I was one state off, I was in Pennsylvania, sorry, right? And I always like to say that when you get to nowhere in Pennsylvania, we were just 5 more miles. Technology plays a critical role in building a digital future, a future that is equitable, prosperous, accessible, and inclusive for all. And this is why we are so excited about the things that we are going to do together here in Ohio. And when I first walked through the doors of the company, the company that put silicon into Silicon Valley, why has so much innovation happened in Silicon Valley? Right? It's Silicon Valley. And this is the company, Gordon Moore, Andy Grove, Bob Noyce, the companies, the trinity that started Silicon Valley. And today, we're the company that's going to put the silicon into the heartland, the Silicon Heartland. But today, this is also a testament to the power of public and private coming together. And we have been aggressive in lobbying, working with the administration, working with the congressional leaders in the House and in the Senate, at the state level as well. Why? Because it is that important for the nation. And I'll tell you, the passage of the CHIPS Act, the most seminal piece of industrial policy legislation from World War II, we all together deserve to celebrate this moment. And I just say thank you all for all who helped make this most critical legislation happen. And I just say, regardless of political affiliation, this is a proud moment where we reached across the aisle and we got something really important done. But I'll just say, we would not be here, right, without our political leaders. We would not be here without the President and his leadership, Secretary Raimondo, Secretary of Commerce, all of these working to bring this across the finish line. And of course, it was a bipartisan bill. How often do you hear that today? Senators Schumer and Cornyn, Representatives Matsui and McCall as the sponsors for the act. And we were thrilled that we, Intel, had a part to play in making that legislation happen. We are honored to be part of that role. In addition to the Ohio delegation, Eddie Bernice Johnson of Texas, Senator Maria Cantwell, others were just crucial in coming by, to make this legislation, happen. And, we have Representative Ro Khanna. Silicon Valley, that's Ro. He's Intel's congressman who's here today as well. And Ro, thank you for joining us. And it isn't just that Ro decided to come and join your party. He deeply believes that the power of technology needs to be across the nation and not just in Silicon Valley. And I thank you for that, Ro. And with that, it is my honor, an honor that a farm kid from Pennsylvania should never even dream of, the honor to say the following words. It is my pleasure to introduce the President of the United States. Please join me in welcoming President Biden.
Thank you, Pat, for that introduction. And it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. It was just back in January when we were together at the White House with Senator Brown and Senator Portman announcing this historic investment. In March, I shared the story in my State of the Union address, the story of the Field of Dreams in the middle of Ohio, where America's future will be built. In August, we were back at the White House as I signed the CHIPS and Science Act, one of the most significant science and technology investments in our history. And now, in September, Gov, we're here breaking ground, and thanks for the passport to get to the state, Gov. Appreciate it. All in 9 months in America. I want to thank Sherrod Brown for his relentless work, especially making sure that labor is in on this deal. And Pat just mentioned what Sherrod makes clear. It's time to bury the label Rust Belt and call it, as Pat said, the Silicon Heartland. That's what's happening in these 1,000 acres. I want to thank Rob Portman for being the gentleman and decent man that he is, and for showing that Democrats and Republicans can work together to get big things done for our country. I really mean it. I'm trying to find where he's sitting, but he's a good man. Thank you. You're leaving a hell of a legacy as you leave what you're doing as a consequence of you, in large part. And thanks to the bipartisan group of Ohio congressional delegation here today. Tim Ryan, thank you for your leadership, always representing this to the working people. Thank you, Congressman Joyce Beatty. And, I don't think we could have gotten the infrastructure bill done without Joyce. She was the final capstone. I thought we all thought it was hanging in the balance there. But I don't know what you did that last 4 hours, but whatever you did, you got it done. And Dave Joyce, Anthony Gonzalez, Mike Carey, Tony Balderson for the work in the House. We're also joined by congressional leaders from around the country who fought so hard for this bill. Eddie Bernice Johnson, chair of the House Science Committee. Eddie, this whole bill wouldn't have gotten done without you. It really wouldn't have. We're also joined by Congressman Ro Kahana. Ro is a tireless champion for American innovation and seeing that workers are part of the deal. While she couldn't be here, Maria Cantwell also deserves a lot of credit. She's chair of the Senate Commerce Committee from the state of Washington. Maria was tireless in getting this bill through the Senate. And again, Mike, I want to thank you for your work on this project as well. And I especially want to thank the labor leaders here. My dear friend Lonnie Stevenson, the IBW, Tim Berger, the president of AFL-CIO, Brent Booker, treasurer of National Building Trades, Mike Kinsley, president of Ohio Building Trades. You know, it's fitting to break ground for America's future here in Ohio. Think about it. There's kind of a tradition here. The Wright brothers, Neil Armstrong, John Glenn, they defined America's spirit, a spirit of daring and innovation. Pat Chase laid out Intel's vision that builds on that legacy. A brand new $20 billion campus, 7,000 construction jobs, union construction jobs, 3,000 full-time jobs that will pay an average of $135,000 a year, and not all of them will require a college degree once these facilities are built. And here's a critical piece. Intel is using a project labor agreement for this investment. For the folks at home, these are agreements that contractors, subcontractors, and unions put in place before construction begins. They ensure major projects are handled by well-trained, well-prepared, highly skilled workers. They resolve disputes ahead of time, ensuring safer work sites, avoiding disruptions and work stoppages that can cause extensive delays and down the line. These agreements make sure construction is top-notch and projects are on time, on task, and on budget. Back in February, I signed an executive order to make sure federal construction projects use these project labor agreements. It's a big deal that Intel is using one here, and I thank them for that. And Intel is going to build a workforce of the future right here in Ohio. As you already heard, Intel committed $50 million to partner with community colleges and universities like Ohio State University, including Central State University, the only historically black university in Ohio, to build a pipeline for students in the semiconductor industry. The director of National Science Foundation is here, Dr. Ponch. He's here, and IF and Intel are going to invest $50 million each to support these kinds of partnerships. Folks, at home, then you may be wondering, why is this such a big deal for manufacturing? Something so small in size as a fingerprint, as a semiconductor. Well, semiconductors are small computers that power everyday lives, smartphones, cars, washing machines, hospital equipment, internet, electric grid, and so much more, including our national security. And here's the deal. America invented this chip. America invented it. It powered NASA's moon mission. Federal investment helped bring down the cost of making these chips, creating a market and an entire industry. As a result, over 30 years ago, America had more than 30% of the global chip production. Then something happened. American manufacturing, the backbone of our economy, got hollowed out. Companies moved jobs overseas, especially from the industrial Midwest. And as a result, today we're down to producing barely 10% of the world's chips, despite leading in chip research and design. And as we saw during the pandemic, when factories that make these chips shut down, the global economy comes to a halt, driving up costs for families and everyone, not just here, but around the world. In fact, 1/3 of the core inflation last year was due to higher prices of automobiles because of the shortage of the semiconductors needed to build those automobiles. Folks, we need to make these chips right here in America to bring down everyday cost and create good jobs. Don't take my word for it. You heard Pat. Listen to the business leaders across this country. They're making decisions right now about where to invest and produce these chips. China, Japan, South Korea, European Union, all these places are investing tens of billions of dollars to attract chip manufacturers to their countries. But industry leaders are choosing us, the United States, because they see America's back and America's leading the way. Folks, since I took office, our economy has created nearly 10 million new jobs, more than 668,000 manufacturing jobs. Proof, a point that made in Ohio and made in America is no longer just a slogan. It's happening. It's a reality today, and it's just beginning. Because I signed into law the CHIPS and Science Act, we're accelerating the progress. This new law makes historic investments for companies to build advanced manufacturing facilities here in America. Since I signed the CHIPS and Science Act, it's already started happening. The American company Micron announced it's going to invest $40 billion in the next 10 years to build factories, special chips called memory chips that store information on your smartphones. That's going to create 40,000 good-paying jobs and increase America's share of the memory chip market 500%. Two other companies, Global Foundries and Qualcomm, announced a $4 billion partnership to produce chips in America that would otherwise have been made overseas. Qualcomm is one of the world's largest designers of chips and planning to boost production by up to 50% over the next 5 years. Today, in North Carolina, Wolfspeed is investing $5 billion to make chip devices for electric vehicles that are going to create 1,800 good-paying jobs over 5 years. Folks, the future of the chip industry is going to be made in America. Made in America. And folks at home should know the manufacturing of these semiconductors connects countless small businesses and manufacturers into a supply chain that's going to thrive, all because of this law. Imagine if we had more of these kinds of factories across the country. This law makes that a reality. It matters. All of this is in our economic interest, and it's in our national security interest as well. Earlier this year, I went to Lockheed's factory in Alabama. They're making the Javelin missile that we're supplying to Ukraine to defend itself against Putin's unprovoked war. We need semiconductors not only for those Javelin missiles, but also for the weapon systems of the future that are only going to be more reliant on computer chips. This goes well beyond commercial need. Unfortunately, we produce zero of these advanced chips in America. Zero. And China's trying to move way ahead of us in manufacturing now. It's no wonder, which is somewhat unusual, that the Chinese Communist Party actively lobbied U.S. business against this law. Basically, you want to do business in our country, don't do it there. The United States has to lead the world in producing these advanced chips, and this law makes sure that we will. And to be clear, the CHIPS and Science Act is not handing out blank checks to companies. I've directed my administration to be laser focused on the guardrails that will protect taxpayers' dollars. We'll make sure the companies partner with unions, community colleges, technical schools to offer training and apprenticeships, and to work with small and minority-owned businesses as well. We're going to make sure that companies that take taxpayers' dollars don't turn around and make investments in China to undermine our supply chain and national security. You know, we have the power. We have the power to take back any federal funding if companies don't meet these requirements. The law also requires that companies build these semiconductor facilities by Davis-Bacon prevailing wage, so people can live with a little bit of breathing room. And this will ensure tens of thousands of new construction jobs and high-paying jobs, and more often high-paying union jobs. And not only will companies use these funds to buy, but they cannot use these funds for stock buybacks and issue dividends. They have to manufacture. And finally, the law is about more than chips. It's about science as well. You know, decades ago, the United States of America invested 2% of its gross domestic product, 2%, in research and development. We led in everything. We created everything from internet to the GPS. Today, we invest somewhere between 7/10 but less than 1% in research and development. The United States of America. We used to rank #1 in the world in research and development. Now we rank #9. China was #8 a decade ago. Now China's #2. And other countries are closing in fast. The CHIPS and Science Act moves us up once again. It authorizes funding to boost our research and development investment back closer to 1% of our GDP. That's the fastest single year of growth in 70 years, but it's still not enough. We're going to make sure we lead the world in industries of the future, from quantum computing to artificial intelligence to advanced biotechnology. Think of the things and the kinds of investment we deliver. Vaccines for cancer, cures for HIV, inventing the next best thing that hasn't even been imagined yet. That's who America's always been. It's something that's really important. We're going to make sure that any company that uses federal funding for research and development to invent new technologies will have to make that technology here in America. And that means we will invent it in America and make it in America. And we're going to make sure we include all of America. We're going to support entrepreneurs and technology hubs all across the country, including historically black colleges and universities, minority-serving institutions, tribal colleges. We're going to tap into the greatest competitive advantage we have, our diverse and talented workforce that's urban, rural, and suburban. Folks, I've asked Pat and many other leading businessmen leaders this question. When the United States decides to invest in considerable resources in a new industry that we need to build, does that encourage business to invest as well? And the answer is yes. Overwhelmingly, ask any major business person, because they say if we think it's worth investing in and we're putting tax dollars into it, it has an increased possibility of being usable and workable. Federal investments attracts private investment. It creates jobs. It creates industries. It demonstrates we're all in this together. And I believe there's another reason why companies are choosing the United States. It's because we're better positioned globally than we have ever been in a long, long time. We've seen a faster, stronger economic recovery than any other advanced nation on earth. I met with one of the leading companies, research companies in South Korea. I asked why they're going to invest billions of dollars in the United States. He said, because you're the most secure nation in the world. We know if we invest, it will be secure. And secondly, this surprised me. You have the best workforce in the world. Folks, and we have the best universities in the world. Dynamic venture capitalist system, a rule of law that protects international property. And thanks to the infrastructure law that I signed with the help of many of the members who are here today, that means better roads, bridges, ports, airports, clean water, high-speed internet for every American. That's going to create millions of jobs all by itself. This is a game changer. Let me close with this. This is about our economic security. It's about our national security. It's about good paying union jobs you can raise a family on, as my dad was saying, have a little bit of breathing room. Jobs now. Jobs for the future. Jobs in every part of the country. We're not going to leave a part behind. There's no need to not develop the whole country. Jobs that show the industrial Midwest is back. The industrial Midwest is back. And that's what you'll see in this field of dreams. PhD engineers in science alongside community college graduates, skilled craftsmen, men and women, people of all ages, races, and backgrounds with advanced degrees or no degrees, working side by side doing the most sophisticated manufacturing that's ever been done. Pat was explaining to me what these are going to look like. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, but I was impressed. You're going to dig down 60 feet, 10 football fields long. You're going to make that all cement. You're going to use that as basis to build on, because you need security, you need stability for what you have on top, and you're going to build up stories beyond. I mean, this is incredible. Making a tiny computer chip, the size of a fingertip. They're showing what we've always believed. And I want to emphasize this, and I'll get out of your hair. And I mean this. You've heard me say this for a long time. There is nothing, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, there is nothing, not a single thing beyond our capacity as a nation if we do it together as the United States of America. And that's what we're going to do. This is an inflection point. Everything. We're going to look back on this period 20 years from now and say, that's when it began to change. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Pat, thank you.